My name's Brett, and this is my review of Dai Dark, Volumes 1 and 2 by Q Hayashida. She's a manga author most known for Dorohedoro, which is I think it's like a 20-plus volume manga series that finished recently, and then Dai Dark is her follow-up. These first two volumes came out this year, and they're published by 7 Seas. And I would best describe it as a sci-fi, dark sci-fi, but not sci-fi in the way you think of it, just that it's set in space. Like a dark sci-fi fantasy story that is ridiculously funny and quite gory and strange and out there. Q Hayashida's art I would describe as grimy, but also cute and extremely stylish. So it's this fusion of those three things that I think gives her work a really unique sensibility. It's really irreverent and doesn't necessarily play by rules that you might expect with manga, and because of that, I think it makes it really interesting and different and fun. She is, I compare a lot of her work and her style, or I see a lot of influence from Tsutomu Nihei, who is most known for Blam and Knights of Sidonia, and most recently this series called Opossums, which sounds like I'm saying opossums, the animal, but it's Aposimz, which she was his apprentice years and years and years ago. So you can see this influence that Nihei had on Hayashida that has this grittiness and this sort of strangeness to it, but where Nihei has sort of gone more mass appeal and more, his designs have become softer and looser. Hayashida's work and design has become more gritty and gory, and kind of carrying that early Nihei torch, which is really cool. But here's the premise of the series. Zaha Senko is a teenage boy who is constantly trying to be murdered because people want his bones. The rumor has it that if you have one of his bones, any wish of yours can be granted. So, lucky for him, he has this thing called a paddy, which I don't know what that name means in the translation, but it's basically like he's got this backpack that's a skeleton called a Vakian, which Vakian can unfold and become just like a full skeleton and can breathe fire. So a Vakian, and then Zaha Senko has this dark hide that he wears that helps protect him. And he has an axe with a bone handle, and all this sounds ridiculous and strange, and it is as much of that. But they are this duo, Zaha, Senko, and Avakian, and they're just on a quest in space, floating around space to try to collect bones, and they use these bones to buy things, and they kind of go on spaceships and different adventures. There's some flashbacks to when Senko was a kid, and introducing some various characters there, but it's basically this kind of buddy duo, and then they meet this other character, Shimada Death, and they're going on these space adventures, and basically the big plot seems to be they're trying to figure out why Zaha Senko has these special bones, so that they can figure out why people are chasing him and what's up with that. They have a skeleton dog spaceship named Moja, or Moja. It's M-O-J-A, and it's like this giant skeleton dog that flies through space, and then it's controlled by this robotic small version of it. It's just hilarious, like the art and the way it's going. Set up throughout this is this evil organization called Photosphere, who seem to be the manufacturers of a lot of different things, and there's this sort of evil leader that's alluded to that seems to want to kill or capture Zaha Senko. So there's some like early seeds of plot there. All of that may sound incomprehensible because I don't think, at least in these first 2 volumes, the plot is the main thing here. There's a lot of humor, there's a lot of action that's, I think, really well drawn and quite gory, and exploding heads and bodies and limbs and intestines all over the place, which, if you like that kind of thing, it's really fun and enjoyable to read, because it's just like, it's startling when you get to it. So I love the art and the style. I think that Q Hayashida's art and approach to storytelling has some of the beats of manga and anime that can pull you in. Like, there's some cuteness and some funness, but her style really stands out on its own, and because of that, it attracts me, at least, to it more than like typical shonen manga and those sorts of things. So I think Q Hayashida's draw is her art style, and then I think she kind of keeps you reading with her humor and her characters, and I think it's a really great combination. It's laugh out loud funny. There's a section in particular that's funny where Moha the dog, Avakian the Patty skeleton backpack thing, and Zaha Senko go to this floating space IKEA, where if you stay there too long, it self-destructs. And they're going and shopping and trying to get things to outfit their new spaceship, and it's just really funny and well done. I love the characters, and it's because of they're very eccentric in a way that when Q Hayashida mixes them all together, it's funny and interesting, and that's been the main draw for me too. I'm unsure if the storytelling is going to get better. The first 2 volumes are introducing the world and the characters. It's got a lot to do, and it's sort of, you know, planting some seeds for a bigger story that it wants to tell, but it's a little shoddy so far. Like, the story isn't the big draw here. Maybe it will be, I'm not sure. I haven't read all of Dorohedoro, so I can't vouch for Q Hayashida's storytelling technique, but I'll be interested to see where Dai Dark goes in the future volumes. So I'd say, in summary, the art style reminds me of Nihei, but it's definitely Q Hayashida's taken that and made her own thing. You can see some pencil marks in it. Her lines are really scratchy and overdrawn, and it creates this really dark effect, but then it will be mixed with this comedy that I think is pretty unique and enjoyable. I think the storytelling is a little obtuse, which leads to, I don't know, maybe filling in the blanks a little. It might be generous, but I think the storytelling is a little weak, but it's made up for by the humor and the art style. I'm really curious to see where it goes. I'm definitely going to keep reading it. I like the setup so far, and I like that it's funny. I like the sci-fi setting, especially like a gritty sci-fi setting that isn't your normal sci-fi. And yeah, I think if you like gritty art, are open to a bit of humor, are okay with storytelling not being the big draw, but instead it being sort of like character-driven and more situational, I think you'd really like Dai Dark, and I'd recommend checking them out. I think in the meantime, I'd like to read more of Dorohedoro to get more sense of how that goes, and go from there. Yeah, curious to see where it goes. Happy to have read them, happy to have checked them out, and yeah, looking forward to the next volume.